Hey guys, John here. I am with Mario Tomic, a friend of mine here, also a YouTuber, really great fitness expert and fitness coach. I had the opportunity when I came to Barcelona. I saw that Mario. I saw his story on Instagram. Saw he was just flying into Barcelona at the same time, and so I said, "Oh, I got to take this opportunity to meet up in person." You know, I know from my experience, if I'm on a workout by myself, I could stop or slow down. But when I go to my Muay Thai class, there's no way I mean, it's like you just can't. I'm not just going to stop, right? Because you've got the whole environment.
You're competitive. You're competitive. You don't want to be the last person in the group. I mean, You're competitive. You want to crush it.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you don't feel like it, right? Yeah. So like having that makes a lot of sense.
You got to be able to set up systems so you fall back. And even if you fall back, maybe the results aren't like 100%, but they're like 90%, they're 80%. There's always you're getting somewhere. Yeah. You're making that one more investment into the identity and the person you want to become. It's like having these if-thens, right? If this happens, then this is going to happen. If, and you just have these if-thens that you can branch into and have systems in your mind ready to go in case something like this happens. That's a lifesaver. Right. That's a lifesaver. Have the processes pre-planned, so the decision has already been made, it's already in your environment, so it takes almost no energy and friction to get down that path and succeed, right? That's the key. That's the key.
A lot of people are just trying to get in shape and transform, but some of us are trying to get like super lean. And I know you've gone on that journey, and I saw a lot of your videos on that. And it's definitely a difficult process. I mean, you know, I think it's pretty much everyone says it's like, well, getting down to 10% is easy, but after that,
you start to cut at 10%.
Right, exactly. So tell me about that process and what it takes to get through that, and just kind of like what someone can expect to experience so that they know, you know, what to prepare for.
Great question. It's number one, I'm going to say this is not for everybody. So getting down and cutting down to a level where you could step on stage to be a physique competitor, it is hard. It is extremely hard. There is a genetic component involved in it as well, but not as nearly as much as people think. So that's the first excuse that has to go out the window. Yeah. Most people can get that lean. It just requires a lot of work, right? Now, components. Number one, you have to be able to cultivate patience. Right. It's going to take some time. The cut from 10 to 7% might take longer than a cut from 18 to 10. And you want to do it in a smart way. You don't want to do it where you rush it, where you don't have a game plan, because then you're going to lose a lot of muscle in the process. You're going to look very flat. You're going to be very hungry. It's just going to, when you reach the 7, you don't want to break and then go YOLO for 3 months and bulk back up to 20% of fat.
Yeah, it won't take you very long either.
Yeah, it won't take you very long because your body has physiologically adapted to have this low calorie intake, your metabolism down-regulated. Now when you start adding thousands of calories in there, which is not uncommon, people are binging for like 10,000 calories a day for like weeks. Yeah. You can easily regain a lot of that fat very, very fast, and it's gonna be all fat. Like you cannot rebuild muscle in like a week. So having the patience, and that's the first one. The second one is having an exit plan. So have an exit plan. Like don't just like, okay, let's just go and see what happens. Have an exit plan. Have a plan for maintaining, at least for some time, and slowly, gradually getting up. Yeah. So don't just go at it and okay, 10%, it's like YOLO now. Have a game plan, because it's very easy at that 7%, 8% mark to kind of break. Mentally, what's going to be happening? This is the biggest challenge. As you diet down, as you keep cutting calories to diet down, your cortisol shoots up. Now, cortisol shoots up, you're more stressed out, you're going to be more anxious, you're going to potentially have mood swings, depending on, some people don't have them as much, some have them. I personally get very angry, hangry mostly when there's no food. Yeah. It's like this primal stuff keeps kicking. You have a really hard time dealing with, if you're running a business, if you're in a relationship, and people will definitely notice changes. Yeah. So it's worthwhile, if you're living with someone, to tell them, hey, I'm going down and I'm doing something that I've never done before, so let's just expect that that my fuse might be there, and it's going to be a little bit shorter, so I might break at some point. Bear with me, have some patience, and that's definitely one of the things. The second thing you can probably experience is lower sex drive, with a lot of men that do cut naturally, which I assume all of you are. Myself, I experienced huge problems with sex drive, libido, and literally you're castrating yourself at some point. Like you have a girlfriend that's like super hot next to you, you're like, yeah.
I know, I'd be running
Give me
down.
a Nutella, like give me some Nutella, give me some pancakes, give me some pizza. The funny story is like I would literally be dreaming about Nutella.
Yeah.
And like my girlfriend next day, she's like, why are you talking about Nutella when you're like when you're sleeping? So that can happen. You have weird like your sense of smell increases, so you actually can sense food from a further away distance. You everything tastes amazing, especially processed food, because your taste receptors start getting like super hypersensitive. Psychological changes are really for me the most challenging, like psychosocial challenges that you will have with dealing with people. So you are at some point choosing between being bored with your diet and being hungry. That is a choice at some point. So when you go from 10% to 7% body fat, it is a choice between is my diet going to be boring and get the job done, or am I going to be hungry if I eat if I eat some more processed food that is not going to be as filling?
Yeah.
So it is going to be a choice, because people want it all. They always don't think that there's a trade-off, but there is always a trade-off. Like you can't get something without giving something. So if you are giving up a little bit of taste, you might find that your diet is much easier.
Right.
And this is something that, again, you have to pay certain prices to get to a certain level. Look, at some points, like those things are not recommended because they're not gonna be possible.
Right.
So that there is some of that happening. I mean, you can go out with your buddies and have a pizza, but then you're gonna eat like a rabbit for the rest of the day.
Right. Yeah.
And even that pizza is gonna be like wiping out 70–80% of your daily intake, which is crazy, right? Depending on how big you are. Like if you're a smaller guy, I mean, you gotta face the truth, right? The upside of it is you're gonna experience certain things and learn more about yourself than you probably ever learned in your life. It's such a challenging process. You gotta literally defeat yourself every single day. You have a battle against yourself, and it's so rewarding mentally. You're gonna push through barriers, and it's building that mental toughness and that grit that I don't think that many things can build it up that much. One of the biggest challenges you can do is like stop eating.
Right. Yep.
And people underestimate this, but try doing it actually. Try doing like a 24-hour fast. See how many triggers for food you have throughout the day. It's insane, right? Especially if you live in like any Western country. It's insane. Like everything is about food. You go out with your buddies, food. You do something like, it's food. Everything is food. All celebrations are food. Everything is about drinking and food. Removing this component, or at least a big part of it, it's such a huge challenge. And that's why I would invite, if you feel like you have the if you feel like you have the mindset and you want to set that goal for yourself, I would invite you to give it a try. Go down 10%, go below, challenge yourself, get help if you need. But in any case, you're going to learn a ton about yourself, which is such a crazy journey.
So many insights there that that I can relate to, because it's like. So actually, I think one more question I wanted to ask, since you kind of mentioned the pizza thing. I wanted to get your take on the cheat meal thing, because when you said that, I was like, well, it depends. Like if you eat the whole pot, because you could eat 10,000 calories, and if your deficit is 500 a day, well, shit, you just put 2 or 3 weeks worth of progress, backwards on. So what do you think about the cheat meal or the cheat day? Like some people do, they're like, oh, I got to, it's good for my metabolism if I do a cheat day every 7 days, and they just go hog wild.
A cheat day doesn't really do much for your metabolism. Psychologically, it might give you some relief. Cheat day, plan. I hate the word cheat day and cheat meal, by the way. I just don't endorse that word at all. I think it's catchy. People use it all the time, but it's really not the right mindset to have. Because at the end of the day, what are you cheating? You're cheating yourself out of results if you really let loose and if you have no game plan.
Right.
We call these structured refeeds if you're including them. So either structured refeeds, and they are typically either 48 or 72-hour refeeds. There's a structure to a refeed. It's not just like YOLO, let's just eat as much as possible or whatever you want. And you have to have a game plan. If you don't plan for succeed, you're gonna go down, default is failure, oftentimes. Ignore the cheat meal strategy, but rather invest more time into diet breaks and having the patience to not diet as hard, to have to need to cheat on your diet. I mean, if your diet is so good, why do you need to cheat on it, right?
Exactly,
So set up diet breaks every couple of, let's say, months. You do like a diet break, which is a 7-day. Go up in calories, maintain the weight where you're at. Because what happens a lot of times, the cheat day turns into a cheat weekend. The cheat weekend turns into a whole week off. Wipe up your progress, and then you now go back and you're like, shit, waste my time. Diet breaks, strategic diet breaks, that assumes that you're already eating somewhat of 90% super healthy, unprocessed foods, and 10%, I would say, somewhat including some more processed food in your diet. So that's assumed already. That's what we found, and data agrees with that. Rigid diets lead to fragile adherence, which means like fragile consistency, you're not able to stick to them. More flexible diets, not super flexible, but with the right dose of flexibility, usually have a higher chance of success based on the data that we've seen. So that would be my advice. Diet breaks, 100% endorsed. Cheat meals, not really so much.
I found like when I've tried to go to maintenance, that sometimes it's harder to actually stay at maintenance, like to develop that skill rather than to cut.
That's a
right?
skill.
It's like plateauing and allowing yourself to stay there but it's strategic because it's like it's giving you the rest to be able to push
deliberately eating more. People are fat phobic. They're like, oh, I don't want to eat more.
Well, thanks Mario. This is great advice. I think this will help a lot of people, myself included, because I'm always struggling with, like, it's funny because no matter how good you are or how disciplined you are, you will struggle with these things. Like it's silly to think that you could ever get to the point where you won't have to have a plan and you won't have to like face this kind of a challenge. What Mario said about coaching is extremely relevant and true, right? Like to have a coach, to have someone to hold you accountable, and I think the best thing he said about that was someone who's objective. That is awesome. That makes a lot of sense, right? Because even myself, even in business and fitness and whatnot, I have the knowledge, and a lot of you guys have the knowledge, right? But what you lack is the objectivity, because when you're in the mix, you get emotional. Your emotion changes. You're not in your right mind, especially when you're starving yourself and your libido's in the tank, and you're just looking at girls' ice cream cones. Literally, they're ice cream cones. So you need to be objective, right? So that's the thing. So consider also, if you're looking for a good coach. I know Mario's got probably a pretty long ass waiting list, but go check him out. Go to his channel, obviously subscribe there, and check him out on Instagram as well.
Yeah, that would be it. And go to tomic.com, that's my website. There's a free masterclass there on the front page. You can check that out. There's some good info there as well. Find it very valuable. And yeah, that would be it, man. Everything you said is absolutely great, and be objective is the only way to succeed.
Awesome. And comments, if you have questions, I think both myself and Mario will be there answering questions. So thanks again, Mario.
Awesome. I appreciate it, man.
All right.
Great to be here.
Yeah. See you guys later.
See you guys.